The day had been framed in my mind for weeks as warm, cozy, and filled with laughter. Christmas had always been my favorite time of year. The twinkle of lights, the aroma of roasted turkey, the faint hum of holiday music that wrapped around the house like a soft blanket. I imagined arriving at my aunt's home, carrying a carefully chosen dessert, a bottle of wine she had once praised, hoping it would remind her that I cared, that I mattered. My heart was buoyant with anticipation, not with expectation of grandeur, but with the simple hope of belonging. I parked my car a few houses down, as I had done countless times before, just to soak in the soft glow of the neighborhood lights. My fingers traced the edges of the box I carried, a small assortment of cookies baked by my own hands, decorated with red and green sprinkles. It wasn't much, but it was a gesture I thought would communicate my love without words. I approached the front door, inhaling deeply, preparing my smile, ready to greet my family as if the warmth of the season had been waiting for me. The door opened abruptly before I could knock. My aunt stood there, her face shadowed with a scowl I hadn't seen since my teenage years. Her eyes rolled sharply, as if my very presence were an inconvenience, and her words cut into the air with precision that left no room for misunderstanding. "We don't want you here," she said, her tone dripping with irritation and an unfamiliar sharpness. For a second, my chest froze, the box of cookies shaking slightly in my grip. I blinked, certain I had misheard. Perhaps she was joking. Perhaps the stress of holiday preparations had warped her words. But no. The contempt in her expression told the story my ears couldn't ignore. I had been summoning warmth and love, only to be met with rejection. The contrast between the imagined joy and the cold, sharp reality struck me like a physical blow. I stood there, momentarily rooted to the spot, replaying every Christmas past in my mind, laughing at silly jokes, watching her light up at every small gesture, recalling the warmth I had once felt. And then, in a moment as quick and cruel as the wind, I realized those memories weren't shields. They were reminders of what had changed. The house that had once welcomed me now felt like a stage where my absence had become preferable. I could feel the weight of humiliation pressing against me, heavy and unyielding. I tried to find words, to navigate a path through anger or frustration, to find a reason, any reason, that would soften the sharp edges of her rejection. I brought cookies. I began cautiously, the words faltering the tension that hung like smoke. She didn't flinch. The door remained half open, her glare anchored on me, a barrier that no explanation could breach. I realized then that this wasn't about cookies, about wine, or even about Christmas. This was about me, and the way I had always tried too hard, the way my presence had become an irritant rather than a comfort. The sound of the living room behind her, muffled laughter, clinking glasses, the murmur of other voices, mocked me silently. They were celebrating, undoubtedly, yet I was outside. I had imagined warmth, yet I found isolation. The contrast stung, sharp as ice against the heart. And yet, as the initial shock faded, a strange clarity began to seep in. I was being offered, unintentionally, a lesson about self-worth, about dignity. I didn't have to force myself into spaces where I wasn't wanted. I placed a box of cookies carefully on the porch, not as an offering, not as a plea, but as a mark of my presence without surrender. My fingers lingered on the lid for a moment, and I inhaled deeply. Then I stepped back, straightened my shoulders, and let the door close gently behind me. No raised voices, no tears, no confrontation. Just the silent, unarguable truth of being seen for what I had allowed others to decide I was.